Most people think of the ocean as a beautiful place, full of life, color, and calm creatures. But that only applies near the surface. Because in the deepest parts of the ocean, where light no longer exists and pressure crushes almost everything, things become very different. Down there, survival comes at a cost. Food is scarce, and when it runs out, some creatures turn on their own kind. Yes, even cannibalism exists in the deep. That's the case of the giant squid, one of the most powerful predators in the deep ocean. Armed with massive tentacles, lined with hooks and eyes adapted to the darkness, it is designed to detect movement before anything gets close. But even here, in a place where it should have every advantage, there is something it cannot react to in time. Something faster than the darkness itself. A predator that doesn't belong here, one that comes from above. The swordfish. Far below the surface, where sunlight disappears and pressure crushes almost everything, the deep ocean becomes a different world. A world where vision is limited, where every movement matters, and where reacting too late means you don't survive. But this zone is not just a static layer of darkness. Most of the life here follows a hidden rhythm, a daily vertical migration. At night, countless organisms rise toward the surface to feed, following faint traces of light and plankton. And as daylight returns, they sink back down into the darkness, disappearing into deeper water once again. This constant movement quietly connects two worlds that seem completely separate, the surface and the abyss. And it creates brief moments where predators from both layers can cross paths. This is where the giant squid thrives. Slow, silent, and almost invisible, moving through the water with a level of control few animals can match. It is not just a survivor. It is a hunter. Its arms do not always wait for central command. Each limb can respond with a degree of autonomy, coordinating movement in parallel rather than in a single, centralized way. Almost like multiple systems working at once. Distributed control across its entire body. And at the end of those arms are not simple suction cups. They are lined with rotating hooks, designed not just to hold prey, but to lock into it and prevent escape entirely. With eyes the size of soccer balls, it can detect the faintest traces of light, the smallest movements, and the subtle vibrations of something alive. And as if it was not enough, the squid still carries one final weapon, a beak, hard, sharp, and capable of cutting through tissue that even the tentacles cannot fully control. In most cases, once contact is made, escape becomes almost impossible. In this world, nothing moves without meaning. Everything is either hunting or trying not to be hunted, and the giant squid is built to stay one step ahead of both. Its body is soft, flexible, and unpredictable. Its tentacles can extend in an instant, lined with rotating hooks that don't just grab, they lock in. Prey doesn't escape, and more importantly, threats rarely get close enough to try. Because in the deep, distance is safety, and timing is everything. And that's where the problem begins. Despite what one might expect, in the deep ocean, the swordfish doesn't play by those rules. It doesn't need time, it doesn't need stealth, it just needs a fraction of a second that the squid doesn't have. This is not where fast predators are supposed to exist. The deep ocean slows everything down. Cold temperatures, low energy, delayed reactions. It's a world where speed is limited, but the swordfish changes that. Inside its skull, there is a specialized organ, one that heats its eyes and brain. In an environment where cold reduces performance, this changes everything. Its vision works faster, its reactions sharpen, and it can track movement in near darkness in a way most deep-sea animals simply cannot. And suddenly, the giant squid is no longer the one with the advantage, because for the first time, something else is reacting faster than it can. And this ability is not everything. If you're enjoying this kind of deep ocean content, and you want to understand how encounters like this really happen, stay with us until the end of the journey. Swordfish also rely on a very different approach. At these depths, the squid expects movement to be slow, predictable, and detectable. But the swordfish doesn't approach like that. It arrives fast, not at the impossible speeds often claimed because physics wouldn't allow it, but fast enough. So fast that in the deep, where reactions are already delayed, it becomes extremely difficult to respond in time. And when it reaches striking distance, it doesn't bite. It swings, and that difference is everything. Its bill is not just a weapon, it's engineered for impact. Dense at the tip, flexible at the base, designed to strike again and again without breaking. Against fish, this creates shock and disorientation. But against something like a squid, a body with no rigid structure and no protection against sudden force, it becomes devastating. One clean hit can break coordination, and without coordination, the squid loses everything. Because in the deep, losing control, even for a moment, is more than enough to lose the battle. But this becomes even clearer when we step out of the deep sea for a moment. Near the surface, the conditions are completely different. Light is everywhere, movement is easier to track, and reactions are faster. And even here, something becomes clear. Swordfish don't hesitate. A squid hits the water, disoriented, exposed, and within seconds, a shape appears below it. Fast, too fast. There is no slow approach, no careful positioning, just a sudden burst of movement. And then, the strike. Not a bite, but a violent lateral swing. The bill cuts through the water and hits with force. The squid reacts instantly, trying to escape. It releases ink into the water, a dark cloud spreading around it. A defensive reaction, an attempt to confuse, to escape. But it doesn't stop the swordfish. Now imagine the same encounter in the deep, where visibility collapses, where reactions slow down, and where every fraction of a second matters even more. That's where the difference becomes critical, because what is already fast becomes almost impossible to track. What is already disruptive becomes decisive. We don't often witness these encounters in the deep, but we don't need to, because the pattern is already visible. Not as constant battles, but as rare, decisive interactions. Because this was never a fair fight. One animal is built to master its environment. The other is built to ignore its limits. And in the deep ocean, that difference is everything. Because when you put everything together, a pattern starts to emerge. The giant squid is not weak. It is one of the most specialized predators in the deep ocean, built for darkness, built for precision, and built for control. But that specialization comes with a cost. It depends on the rules staying the same. And the swordfish doesn't follow those rules. It doesn't belong to the deep. It enters it briefly. Fast enough, precise enough, to break the system the squid depends on. Not through strength, but through disruption. And that's why this isn't really about fear. It's about mismatch. A moment where one animal is perfectly adapted to its world and the other temporarily ignores it. And in those rare encounters, that is enough. Not a constant battle, not a rivalry, just a reminder that even in the most extreme environments on Earth, nothing is completely untouchable, because the deeper you go, the stranger survival becomes. And giant squids are just one example of that. The real question is why creatures in the deep ocean become so extreme so unusual and so different from anything near the surface? And the answer is far more unsettling than you might expect. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more of the deep ocean, don't forget to support the channel, leave a like, and subscribe.